This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it, and the next time TNA move to a new network, they'll actually advertise this during their last Impact on the old one. Well, apparently the people who were saying that TNA was dead after Spike TV pulled the plug on them were jumping the gun a little bit. Not yet, people. Not just yet. And with this being TNA's last Impact on Spike before they leave Viacom for different pastures, many people were probably wondering if they would do anything special or significant to cap off their decade-long run on Spike and send themselves off with a bang that would make the fans excited for them to return on a different channel next year. But if you've been paying attention for the last few months, then you probably knew better than to expect that, and more likely expected exactly what TNA delivered. Some solid wrestling, a solid promo or two, but nothing incredibly dynamic or noteworthy. In other words, not a bad show, but not a show that is going to move the needle forward either. Really just more of the same stuff on a show intended to do nothing more than keep them exactly where they are. Bobby Roode comes out in the opener, and he cuts the exact promo that we've come to expect from him during this current babyface run. I love pro wrestling more than you do, so let's fight. A line that pretty much sums up his entire character right now. The days of Bobby Roode having an interesting personality are sadly gone, it would seem. So Lashley comes out, they start to fight, and then the production team cuts away from it. Odd. I would think that you'd want to stay on that since it's the biggest feud you've got going right now. Apparently not. Seemed like a bad time to cut away in my opinion, but they probably weren't going to do anything we hadn't seen them do before anyway. Same deal with Kenny King and Chris Melendez. Nothing has really changed about this. The entire match, the announcers are going on and on about how amazing Melendez is, how athletic he is, how he's so unbelievably impressive. Meanwhile, Kenny is wrestling circles around him. Melendez still looks green in the ring in my opinion, so Tenay and Taz talking him up so much just feels really phony to me. Kenny can't seem to beat him, which at this stage of the game probably says more about Kenny than Melendez, make of that what you will. The DQ finish means the storyline isn't done yet, and I confess I kind of wish it was. I've said my piece on this feud before, I can't get into it. If you can, God bless you, it's just not for me. More interesting to me was the Knockouts title match with Havoc, Taryn, and Gale. I think Havoc has really been a godsend to the Knockout division because the matches she's in, by default, become a lot more brutal and hard-hitting. She's done a really effective job in finally filling that monster badass void that was created after Awesome Kong left a few years back. I think Havoc is someone really unique and interesting. She makes the Knockouts she feuds with more interesting, and this division is more interesting for having someone like her in it. It's just a shame that the writers had her lose the damn Knockouts title here way too fucking soon. This was a good Knockouts match. I like the psychology with the one-upsmanship between Gale and Taryn. The booking of Havoc was really good with them pretty much having to team up against her trying to pin both of them at once, trying to chokeslam them both at once. Those were great little details to throw in there. Those are things that a monster like Havoc would do. But I thought her losing the title here was a horrible decision. Yes, Havoc was protected here and she didn't get pinned, but that doesn't even matter. She hadn't even been the champion that long. I agree with Taryn being the one to take the belt from her, but it was way too early for this to happen. Havoc should have held the title at least another couple of months, destroyed every girl in the roster until people were wondering who the hell can possibly stop this woman. And then after you built her up like the Knockout Godzilla, then have Taryn win the title. Because then it would really mean something. Instead, they had Taryn win the title from Havoc on her first try in a triple threat match on a random Impact with very little story or build-up, cutting off Havoc's momentum before she'd had a chance to generate nearly as much as she should have, and not having Taryn with enough momentum to properly capitalize on this either. And that just felt really underwhelming to me. I thought Havoc's title reign deserved better, and I thought Taryn's first title win deserved better too.
And that's the fishing line, 'cause Shark Boy said so.
Not shockingly, the most entertaining promo we get all night comes from EC3 and Rockstar Spud, as it usually does. But even this didn't have a whole lot to it. EC3 dares Spud to hit him, Spud kicks him in the balls instead, gets some shots in, but EC3 overpowers him, double teams him with Tyrus, and Spud is left lying. Pretty basic stuff here, but it was engaging and well performed by both guys, and there's more involving story and character here than what we tend to get on the rest of this show these days. And this was the most invested the crowd seemed all night, so they must have been doing something right here.
Shut up and follow me.
But a really, really bad decision on Spud's part to go for the testicles. What was he thinking? The hardcore American icon of wrestling, EC3, breaks rocks with those things. Spud probably shattered every bone in his foot by doing that.
I'm on a hell of a lot of fucking Jägermeister.
I don't blame you, Spud. You gotta dull that stabbing pain in your leg somehow. You know, as much as I like the Bram character, this storyline of him being the self-proclaimed new king of hardcore was kind of ruined last week when him and Magnus took a loss to Devon and the thing that ate Tommy Dreamer. And yes, he got that win back for them here technically, and the match was pretty good, but I would argue that Bram winning a competitive match against Tommy Dreamer only because he had a friend interfere and help him is almost the same thing as taking another loss. No offense to TNA or Tommy, but I mean, who are we trying to fool here?
It's not the 90s anymore and nobody wants to see you in spandex.
Then Al Snow came out. I'm not sure why. Here's the issue with this. Bram says that he wants to take out all the hardcore legends in wrestling. Problem is, TNA doesn't really have any of those people. So instead, Bram has to prove himself against guys for whom the hardcore legend moniker is a little bit generous, which kind of takes some of the authenticity out of this. Why can Bram beat Abyss clean, but not Tommy Dreamer? How does that make any sense at all? And now they're throwing Al Snow in there for some reason, which really does not interest me very much. But credit to Al Snow, at least he's in shape. He could probably put up a more believable fight than Dreamer could at this point, so there's that. We had a 4-way X Division title match to crown a new champion. It was a really good match, though you probably knew who was going to win before it even started. Low Key was really the only guy who made sense to win it, so that's fine. And it sets the stage for the Low Key Samoa Joe feud to resume when Joe comes back, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Not much else to say about this, really. So as Impact goes off the air on Spike TV for the last time, our final segment is a little anticlimactic. Angle is pissed off at MVP after MVP jumped him earlier and decides to take care of him personally. This leads to a bunch of other people coming out to get in on the action, among them Rude and Lashley. They start going at it, and that's how it ends. Not really a bad ending, but if their intent was to leave the audience chomping at the bit to see what was going to happen when Impact returns on a new network in 2015, I was hoping for a more compelling hook than just the tease of Rude and Lashley having a match that we've already seen several times now. And that's how Impact Wrestling went out on Spike TV. Not a terrible show, not an incredibly interesting show, just kind of treading water like they've been doing for months. I can't help but feel kind of underwhelmed. Hopefully when they come back, they can hit the ground running creatively and finally start moving in one direction or another instead of just trying to stay right where they are. So starting in January, TNA is going to debut on Destination America, a channel that I had never heard of until 3 days ago. Apparently it's not available in as many homes as Spike TV is. I'm pretty sure my cable company doesn't carry it, so I guess I'll be watching Impact on my computer from now on. Their viewership will probably take a hit from this, but since the channel isn't as big as Spike, they won't necessarily have to pull in big ratings to be valuable to the network. And the big thing is, Destination America seems happy to have them, which means they may actually advertise TNA, which Spike TV never did. So this might seem like a step back, but I think it could lead to better opportunities for the company in the future to finally grow their brand, maybe get additional programming, stuff like that. But that's not until January. In the meantime, in case you were wondering, I won't be going away. I'm still doing the Comic Show post-show every Thursday night. I'll probably be doing some more topical videos and live streams now that I'll have more free time. and I'm going to try to get a few more of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1 reviews done before iMPACT comes back, so I'm still going to be around. But for the next 2 months or so, that'll be it for the iMPACT review. And I've been doing this every week for a long time now, so it'll be nice to have a little bit of a break to recharge my batteries. So we'll see what happens in January. Until then, thanks everybody for watching. This is the Fool Killer 99 iMPACT Wrestling Review, signing off. Take care.